Hello everyone and welcome back to our dice rolling mini series where we're going through how to do a dice rolling mechanic in Unreal Engine 5. In the first episode we went through and made a physics based block that rolls around when it gets launched into the air. But now we got it detecting when it stops moving. We haven't actually got it actually reading any results. That's where today comes in. Today we're going to be looking at how we can assign results to a different side of the dice and return that result when the dice are stopped moving. So let's jump in and take a look. So to recap what we did last time, we made it so that when the dice has rolled and when it stopped rolling, we've got it saying hello in the top corner there. Now, that's all well and good, but we need to know what side it's rolled onto. So how do we do that? Well, as I say, there's loads of ways of doing this. This is the nicest way I found and the most flexible because it allows you to work with multiple sided dice other than just 6. And you can assign different values to it other than just 1 through 6. So the way it works is you go onto your dice asset, whatever it may be, and in here we need to get and assign sockets to it. So I'm going to turn my snaps on, make sure we've got snaps on there. Double check the sizing here. We've got 202, 203 and 200, so 100 each. So I'm going to change that to 50, make that a bit faster. And on my sockets here we can now assign what sides we want. So I'm going to do side 1, and I'm going to put that onto side 1 there. And just to make life a little bit nicer, I'm going to make sure they point out like this. I don't think we're ever going to use it in this series, but you never know, it might come in handy to know which way is up, basically. So we can use that there. Okay, so that's side there. We're going to do another one for side 2. Side 3. Side 4. Side 5. That'll be at the bottom. And finally side 6. And if you're doing something that's not numerical, you may prefer to name them something a bit more different. So like side A, B, C, and so on. Because it could be quite confusing when you're working with like a set of numbers which is different from the set of numbers you see on the dice, for example. So whatever you want to name it is up to you. That doesn't really matter too much. What matters is that you just position them on the faces of the die. So if you've got D20, for example, make sure that each socket's on the flattest part of the face. Okay. Okay, so that's looking pretty good there. We've got them all there. Cool. Okay, so now we need to determine which one is pointing up. And the way we do that is a little tricky little thing. We do, on our read value, we're going to go through all of our sockets and find out which one is the highest. The highest one would be the one at the top. It's as simple as really as that. So I'm going to take my dice asset here, and I want to get the sockets on that thing. So I'm going to go get all socket names. And it returns an array. We'll do 4 each, like so. And for this read value, we need to have a tracker keeping track of the highest value and the highest name. So I'm going to go to local variables, and add in L highest value. That'd be a float. And another one for L highest name. That'd be a name. So on the loop body here, we're going to take the name here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our dice asset and we're going to get the socket location. And it's going to be that name. I want to then split this end result, because all I care about is the Z value. I'm going to find out which one's the highest value, okay? And the socket location is the world space location, so you don't have to convert to anything. We're just going to take this value here and see if this is greater than the highest value. I'm going to put that into a branch. And if it's true, greater than it, that means we've got a new highest value. So we put on true, highest value in there. And the highest name is also going to be set to whatever the current array element is. So what it's going to do is going to go through each of the sockets to find out which one is the highest on the box. And on completed here, we return with the return node the name of the side that's returned here. So side name. So let's take a look at what that does when I put into, say, if I go back to my event graph and just make it print. Hold on, did I not? I changed it here. Change the wrong one. Change this one. Side name. There you go. Yeah, so on my event graph and read value, I'm going to make it print string, the side name. So there we go. Off it goes. And we should see it read out side 2. And there you go, side 2. Do another test. Side 2 again. Another one. And that should say side 6. Yep, there you go. So now we've got each of those sides. But now how do we assign a value to them? As I said, we can use this for other dice rather than just numbers. You can use it for absolutely anything. So what do we do with that? Well, the way you'd handle that is on the dice, you'd have a map dictating what the side names each refer to. And that depends entirely on the game you're doing. So let's say I just want to do values. On my variable list, I'm going to add in here side values. That's going to have a name mapped to an integer. So in here, all I have to do is add in the elements that I want to have in here. I'll go side 1, side 2, and so on. If you've got something like attack dice, where you may have like a shield on one side and a skull on another side, you just label them the same thing. Rather than having integers, you would have maybe gameplay tags or blueprints or I don't know, something else. It depends entirely on the type of game you're trying to make. But as I said, this is flexible enough where you can make it work for literally any type of die and any type of game you want to do. It's pretty simple, really. So I'm going to put in my side here, side 6, and just type in the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's my side die. And I can use that then to get the values from the side values, find, and it can return the number. Let's do print string. And there we go. It should say 2. Yep, there we go. So to make your dice really useful for your game, what you're going to want to do is have this return out as usually as an event dispatcher, so it can return back to whichever actor threw the dice. So we'll have event dispatch on here, on rolled, and the inputs for this is going to be an integer, and we do value. Drag it out and call it like so. Okay. And if I go into my game here, rather than having it part of the world, I can now spawn that in whenever I want. So let's say the player pushes a button on the widget or, I don't know, does something else. We can make it just spawn in the asset and it will just trigger the roll there. So let's just quickly add a widget to the screen to make it so we can roll the dice. So I'm going to go to user widget. Call it the HUD. And in here, we had an overlay with a button. And we'll just put some text in it. And we'll say this text here, roll dice. And we'll put the button at the bottom there. Something like that. And what I'm going to do is on the construct of this UI, I'm going to get the player controller, set input mode to UI only. And I'm going to set show mouse cursor. And then on the button, so select the button, make it variable. We are going to have the on-clicked event, and we make it spawn in that die. So we're going to do spawn actor from class. We're going to do BP dice. And the spawn transform this, we're going to do it in front of the camera, wherever it may be. So we're going to get the player camera manager, get the actor location. Let's take the spawn transform and split it. Yeah, get the actor location, get the camera's forward vector, and we're going to make it multiplied by a float of, say, 300. I'm going to add that to our actor location. That's going to be the transform. The rotation here, we can do random rotator. And we'll tick roll as well. Do the whole thing. And we'll make it always spawn, ignore collisions. And then the return value here, we just will do that binding. So do bind event on rolled. Create event. And create matching function. Dice rolled. And we'll just do some text on the screen here. We'll just call it dice value. And on dice rolled here, I'm just going to change my text value here to set text to whatever that number was coming from the dice. So when I do that, I do need to make it so I can actually see the thing. So I'm going to go into, well, this doesn't have any game mode, it's a blank project. So what I'm going to do is put in a level blueprint. Just for demonstration purposes, this is not where you'd actually do it. But I'm going to create the widget. We'll create the HUD. Add to viewport. I can roll a die. 5. Nice. Oh. 4. There you go. Nice. So there you go. We now make a dice that can roll and tell us a value. And yeah, pretty simple way of handling that, I think. So give it a try with other-sided dice as well. It should work the same. What we're going to do in the last episode here is make it so we can make it work with multiple die and return whether or not we've got doubles and or the sum of the value of dice as well. So you can check out that last episode right now over on patreon.com/Ryan Laley, and you get all our videos early from just $1 a month. And if you're a gold patron or higher, you get these project files as well as part of your subscription. If you want support with your own project, you can also sign up to be a diamond patron and get extra support with an hour-long session each month. Massive thank you to all our patrons, YouTube members, and everyone else in between for subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.